Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, whatever it is where you are. I'm Ray with another podcast episode. I've already had several comments on this episode, okay, and I haven't even done it. This is just the beginning. It was the photograph I put up of a lump of meat, and the text, of course, going with it, where I'm saying that this is all about food, and this is filth, and things like that. I've had loads of comments already. Now, I don't know where you are in the world, but you might be having your dinner. If you're having your dinner, I'd turn this off because I might put you off your food. Even if you're having breakfast, I might put you off. When I was, how old? About 8 years old, someone said to me, do you know what they make gravy out of? And I thought, no, I don't know what gravy is made out of. Blood. And that stuck in my mind. Blood? I thought, blood? How can you make gravy out of blood? The juices, the meat juices and all that is what the person was talking about. I suppose there is blood in there as well. And as I say, that stuck in my mind. And of course, from that day on, whenever I saw gravy, I thought of blood. I like onion gravy. That's my favourite. You know, there's a lot of gravies around where you don't have to have blood in it. Anyway, that kicked everything off basically for me. I love cheese. Everyone loves cheese. Cheese and pickle sandwiches. What's wrong with that? Absolutely nothing. Except, when I was in my teens, someone said to me, oh, there's rennet in cheese. And I thought, rennet? Well, who's that? Who's she? Rennet? And what is it? I forget what it is now. Is it pig's or cow's stomach or something? Yeah, those seagulls. Wouldn't surprise me if people ate seagulls. I know they have pigeon pie. Good grief. So rennet is bits of pig's stomach, isn't it? Or cow's stomach. I mean, it's awful. There's no rennet in cheese now. A few years ago, I was in the supermarket and I said to this girl that worked there, do you have rennet-free cheese? And she frowned at me. She's only like 20 years old. She frowned at me and she said, hang on, I'll find out. Went off, she came back. She said, all cheese is rennet-free. So I said, oh, okay, I didn't realise that. And she said, yeah, apparently it's all rennet-free. And then this manager chap came over because he saw the discussion. And he said, rennet hasn't been used in cheese for a long, long time, so don't worry, it's all rennet-free. But I didn't realise until in my teens that I'd been eating bits of someone's stomach in my cheese and pickle sandwiches. Fish custard. There's a good one. I always mention this to people. When I was a kid, the people next door, they were awful, the old people. I didn't like them. And they used to stink half the street out with their fish custard. Can you imagine fish custard? No, you can't. You don't want to. Are you still eating your dinner? Sorry. I don't know what fish custard is. Well, it's custard made with fish, I suppose. I mean, what do you put fish custard on? Do you have it with jelly? Oh, don't talk about jelly. That's gelatine, isn't it? Gelatine is horse's feet or hooves or whatever. I didn't realise that when I was a kid. I used to like jelly. I didn't have fish custard with it. I still don't know what fish custard is. But I used to like jelly. All kids love jelly and ice cream. No one told me it's got horse's feet in it. Good grief. Stone the crows. Actually, you better not. You probably have crow pie. Do you remember Desperate Dan? Was it the Beano or the Dandy? Desperate Dan. He used to have cow pie. And there's a couple of horns sticking out the top of this pie. Someone said the other day to me, must be very difficult for people who were vegetarian in the 50s and 60s. Actually, it wasn't, because I remember saucilatas, they were vegetarian sausages, and they were really nice. They were far nicer than some of this modern day rubbish, these awful vegetarian sausages they have now. Yesterday, I tried a Lincoln sausage, vegetarian thing. I didn't like it, Lincoln, it was awful. So the plain ones are nice. There's chicken Kiev pies or whatever chicken Kiev is. I've tried that. It tastes so much like chicken that I don't like it. And I think that's what a lot of these vegetarian food people try to do. They try to make it taste like meat. Well, it's the meat that I don't like the taste of, so what's the point? But the saucilatas were really nice. And rissole nuts. They were like, I don't know how to describe them. Well, sort of burger shape, but they were all nuts and stuff like that. So, and that's back in the 50s. Mind you, back in the 50s, anyone who was a vegetarian was looked upon as a bit of a crank. things have certainly changed. Another thing that's changed, cereals. Back then, breakfast was, cornflakes, Weetabix, stuff like that. Now, look how unhealthy it all is. What's this crave or rave or whatever it's called that kids like? There's everything's covered in honey and chocolate. For breakfast, who wants chocolate for breakfast? The kids do, of course, because you get them into the taste of chocolate for breakfast and they'll want more. And also, what do we have for breakfast now? Smoothies. Now, I don't mind smoothies made with fruit. I have tried the ones with, what do they put in it? Soya milk, spinach, kale, cabbage. It's like a thick slime green soup, isn't it? Probably very good for you, but for breakfast? Imagine saying to someone in the 50s, in the 2000s, a typical thing for breakfast will be soup that's slimy, green, made of kale and spinach. They'd say, no, Carl, you're joking. Back in the early days, the only takeaway shops really were fish and chips. I don't think there was anything else. There might have been in London, I don't know. Down here on the south coast, it was fish and chips, that was it. Of course, then pizzas came. Pizzas were popular, they were popular. But then, of course, everything else came in. Everything from Chinese, Taiwanese, Japanese, French restaurants. you name it. Isle of Wight restaurants. There's stuff from all over the world. Which is nice, I suppose. Curry. I think curry is probably one of the things that has gone down really well. I don't remember as a kid having curry. Was it around in the 50s? I don't know. I suppose people had curry in the UK. Obviously they did abroad. But I don't know whether we had curry in the UK. But that's nice. A nice vegetable curry. Can't beat that. With chips. I don't like rice. You've got to be careful. Rice is dodgy stuff. Apparently rice can give you really bad food poisoning. If you, if you leave it or reheat it, you wouldn't think, would you? Meat, okay, if you let meat cool and then reheat it or freeze it again and then heat it, there's so much filth and bacteria in meat. Bits of stuff out of the field where the cow was. He's eating worms and insects, isn't he, and other people's cow packs and stuff. So you expect that to be full of filthy bacteria. And hormones, of course, they inject animals with hormones. I don't want hormones, do I? I don't want hormones to stop fly strike or whatever it's called. I don't get fly strike. Rabbits get that. Rabbit pie. Rabbit stew. Oh, my father-in-law was always going on about rabbit stew, how they go and catch wild rabbits. They'd catch these rabbits, skin them and all this, and then make rabbit stew. Oh, disgusting. We've got pet rabbits. I can't imagine putting them in a stew. Oh, and then using their fur for gloves. I don't know whether you watch any of these programs. What is it? Victorian Farm, that sort of thing. And going back to the, going back to the 30s and stuff. These old programs where they'll have a house and sort of recreate it all to the 20s, 50s or whenever. I like the Victorian Farm ones. That's with that Ruth, isn't it? Oh, what's her name? I can't think of her name. And Peter Ginn and the other chap. Anyway, the house one, it was absolutely disgusting. This woman made a pie, right? You won't believe this. Cow heel pie. Talking of Desperate Dan's cow pie. Cow heel pie. This was a bit of a cow's heel. A bit of foot. Who would eat someone's foot? Why not have toenail sandwiches or something? It is absolutely disgusting. It's filth. Then people say, oh, why don't you like meat? Why don't I like meat? Well, just listen to this podcast and I'll tell you why. Oh, it's awful though, isn't it? There's horses' hooves to make jelly. Cow heel pie. Oh, pig's trotters. That reminds me. I went round to a friend's house. I'm going back 20, 30, no more than that, 40 years. Went round to his house. We went through the house to go out to his workshop, which was a shed down the garden. Going through the kitchen, I followed him through. His wife was there, and she said, oh, hi, I was single at the time. And she said, would you like to stay to dinner? It was late afternoon, whenever it was, dinner time. I thought, well, that'd be nice. But as soon as I'd gone into the house, there was this smell. I'm thinking, what's that smell? Something vile, some sort of filthy, disgusting stench. And in the kitchen, it was even stronger. And I looked on the cooker, and there's this big pot, like a big jam-type making pot, and it's bubbling. And I looked in there, and there's bones. There's bones in there. And I forget she said what it was, but she said, oh, there's plenty if you want to stay for dinner. Trying not to be sick in front of her. I said, no, I'm fine, thanks. I've been invited somewhere else already. And I went out to the garden, followed my friend to the garden, and breath of fresh air. What a step. That's dinner. They were going to eat whatever that was being cremated or whatever it was, boiled to bits. Someone told me recently what scrag end, because I asked, I said, what's scrag end? And I forget what it is now, something awful. Scrag end. So yeah, takeaways, we've done takeaways, haven't we? Some of the takeaways are nice, but the trouble is you hear stories. Well, I do. I hear stories about what they do in the kitchens at takeaway places. I mean, you know, not all of them, but some you read in the paper, don't you? Some takeaways been closed down because of what they put in the food or in the curry, what they mix. Well, it won't go into that. Are you still eating your dinner? Black pudding. Black pudding. Years and years ago, I'd heard of black pudding. I didn't know what it was. And I asked someone, he said, oh, it's made out of blood. And I'm thinking, blood gravy. Blood? And apparently, what is it? It's blood and breadcrumbs. Basically, it's a huge blood clot. Blood from a pig. You know, you might as well pick a scab off your arm and stick it in a sandwich. Oh, what you got there? Oh, no, I'm just having a scab sandwich. Oh, dear. No, I mean, you laugh. It's not funny, really, is it? It's disgusting. Scab sandwich. Oh, dear, I'm having that with toenail soup for dinner tonight. So my old nan, she lived till she was, 97, I think. In her kitchen or scullery, I remember as a kid going to her place up in Surrey, there's this bowl of dripping, a cracked bowl, all of the little cracks in the bowl, how you get, which are probably full of germs, and there's flies around it. And next to this bowl of dripping, when there were no fridges or anything like that, there's this chicken carcass, or part of one, sort of a bit of a dead chicken's body, covered in blowflies. And I remember looking, this is why I'm the way I am now with food, you know, seeing in my nan's scullery this dead chicken, it was cooked, but all covered in blowflies, and they were actually going to eat that. And the bowl of dripping. I tried a dripping sandwich. I remember my nan saying, have a dripping sandwich with white bread. White bread is disgusting. Do you know it's got bleach in it? Well, not anymore, apparently. It used to have bleach in it. I remember my nan, the same nan, well, I only had one nan, there was a mark on the wallpaper in my bedroom. And she said, oh, hang on, I'll go and get a piece of bread. I'm thinking, a piece of bread? Has she gone senile? And she came back with a piece of white bread from the kitchen, you know, from my mum's kitchen. This was at our home now. And she got a bit of bread, rolled it into a ball, and wiped the mark off the wallpaper. And I said, how did you do that? She said, well, it's the bleach in the bread. Of course, from that day on, bleach? Oh, I don't want that. That's it. White bread, filth. I'm not eating that. Many, many people say to me, well, what do you eat? Well, I eat all sorts of things. I just don't eat filth. I like beans on toast. Proper beans. I'm not going into makes. I'll probably get sued by various bean manufacturers. But there is only one make of beans, only one supplier. I'm not going to mention the rest, but they're filth. The others, you've got to have the proper make with a thick sauce. So that's that. Beans, proper brown bread. We make our own bread. Well, I say we, my wife does. We make our own bread. That way we know what's in it. You know, no one slipped a bit of cow dung in it, or a bit of stoat's stomach, or ferret's bowel or something. You never know with bread, do you? So we make our own bread, which is rather nice. So when I answer the question, what do I eat? All sorts of things. A lot of vegetarian stuff is nice. A lot of fruit, a lot of salad, vegetables, of course. I think I like all vegetables. Oh, I don't like, not too keen on sweet corn, those little yellow horrible things. And I don't like aubergines. I mean, inside, have you seen, well, they're filth, aren't they? Inside, it's all some sort of creamy mess. So I don't like those. But most fruit and vegetables I like. For protein, I mean, this is always a thing, isn't it? People say, oh, well, if you don't eat meat, you're probably anemic. You haven't got any iron. Where do you get protein from? Well, if you eat enough of the proper stuff, nuts, for example, I eat a lot of nuts, almonds, Brazils, walnuts, all that, peanuts, not covered in salt, roasted in a packet for like 10 quid an ounce. You won't know what an ounce is, will you? Sorry. Going back again to the 50s when we had proper measurements. None of this modern rubbish. No, actually, I do like the metric measurements. It's easy, isn't it? And the metric money. I could never work it out. What's 12 and 6 and 17 and sixpence halfpenny added up? I don't know, I haven't got a clue. It's easy now, isn't it? I said aubergine earlier. Did I mean that? Or avocado? Are they the same? Avocado, pear? They're both disgusting anyway. I'm sure they're the same thing. Now listen, it's pouring with rain. If it's not seagulls, it's the lashing rain. I don't know what's happened to the summer. I expect you can hear that on the window. I'll have to close that in a minute. I hope you've finished your dinner by now. I was going to mention other things from other countries, but I better not. Things like rats, wild animal markets and things. You've probably seen all that on the television, so I won't talk about that. I mean, there are limits, aren't there? Stone the crows or eat the crows out there. Rats. Can you imagine? Dogs, cats, well, you name it. Hamsters. I don't know what they eat. Well, I don't know what they don't eat. They eat everything. I just can't understand that. Of course, then people say, oh, it's funny how they get ill. Well, now I've completely put you off your dinner. I hope you weren't eating dinner. When you have your dinner this evening, you'll be thinking of this. You'll be thinking, what was it he said? As you're having your roast beef, what did he said? Oh, yeah, roast beef. Yeah, I've tried that. It's got veins in it. You can see tubes in it. I have tried all meat. Well, not all. Not all. A friend of mine went abroad on holiday, and he said he had something that tasted like cheese. And he said it wasn't too bad. It wasn't that keen, but it was edible. Until he turned it over, and there were suckers underneath. Suckers like octopus, except it was squid. Was it? Whatever it was. Squid. Oh. Anyway, he didn't eat that. But it was like cheese. I don't go abroad anymore. I can't be bothered with it all. Don't like airports. But when I did, I was always very careful. I just had vegetable stuff. They didn't do vegetarian as much, but Greek salad, for example. And if they put a skewer or something of meat with it, lamb and stuff, I just leave that. Cheese, yeah, I wonder what's in feta cheese, because I quite like that feta. I better not look into it. Is goat's it, or sheep's cheese, milk cheese? I don't know what it is. I can't get on with soya milk. My wife has, coconut milk on things. I mean, that's okay. The thing is, when you start thinking about what the food is that you're eating. Now, eggs, I like eggs. Obviously, eggs, I like cakes. There are eggs in cakes. But what is an egg? Think about it. What is an egg? An ovum. Or is it ova? Ovum. I don't know what. Anyway, you know what I mean. I'm not going to say any more on that. You'll be saying, that's it. That's the end of boiled eggs. I like omelettes. Spanish omelette. Bits of potato in and cheese. A mushroom omelette's nice. Do you know, it's now 8:10, Sunday morning. It is today. I'm about to put the podcast on. I meant to do this in the week. I got so busy that I just didn't get round to it. It's now 8:10 Sunday morning. It's raining down here on the south coast of the UK. The temperature is whatever it is, not bad at all, about 18 degrees. And I'm about to have breakfast. No bacon sarnies, no pig. Oh, I just, one last thing. I shall leave you with this thought. Ask Alexa, hang on, I'll do it. Alexa, what are sweetbreads?
According to Wikipedia, sweetbread is a culinary name for the thymus or pancreas, typically from calf and lamb, and, less commonly, beef and pork. The heart sweetbreads are more spherical in shape, while the throat sweetbreads are more cylindrical in shape. Various other glands used as food may also sometimes be called sweetbreads, including the parotid gland, the sublingual glands, as well as ovary and testicles.
Various other glands, including ovaries and testicles. There we are. Enjoy your dinner. No, seriously, I mean, what is going on? Ovaries and testicles. On that note, I shall say goodbye. Thanks for listening as always. Oh, tripe. I've got a note in front of me here. Tripe. We'll go into that another time. I've probably made it. You'll be losing weight now. You'll be thanking me. I'll be getting dozens of emails. Thank you so much for that podcast. I've hardly eaten since and I've lost 2 stone. See you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye for now.